Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for October 17, 2023, the Stop Talking About Retirement edition. We begin with that story from the Financial Times in an article entitled, "It's Time We Stop Talking About Retirement," by Michael Skapikner, who says the number of over 65 people is rising as older people take an more active role. Is this the ultimate revenge of the baby boomers? Is this keeping the millennials from taking their rightful place? Well, the reality is, as people live longer, that people want to continue working. And some people enjoy work. Some people want to have that fulfillment. Some people like to keep busy. It really doesn't matter. But the workforce is going to have to figure out a way to continue to utilize these talents going forward. Next up from Bloomberg, it turns out that Altice employees raised red flags years before the corruption probe had begun. Executives had been informed about problems linked to loose governments, rigged bidding, and nepotism. Although the owner said he was shocked to discover there was corruption from a, quote, handful of business associates, end quote. Turns out this is well known within the company and was reported up so that there was actual knowledge of this going on. So as one lawyer for a victim said, the reality is not so simple. It rarely is. Ask Sam Bankman-Fried. Next up, PETA. That's right. The People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals scored a big Supreme Court win as the U.S. Supreme Court turned away an appeal from the state of North Carolina in defense of a law aimed at preventing hidden camera investigations from damaging farms and other businesses. North Carolina had tried to pass a law saying you couldn't gather news about animal cruelty or other issues important to PETA. Well, guess what? There's something called the First Amendment. You can't violate that. At least not in the case of cruelty to animals. And our final story comes to us from the BBC, which reports that the former chairman of the Bank of China has been arrested over suspicions of bribery and giving illegal loans. Louis Liang, chairman of the state-owned bank from 2019 to 2023, had resigned back in March, and weeks later it was announced that he was facing corruption charges. Well, now he has been charged over those same corruption charges. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.